Alright, in today's lesson we're going to be talking about multi-step problems in the real world, and we're still going to be working with independent variables and dependent variables, creating tables, and now we're going to start graphing the information from those tables. Alright, let's look at our first example. Zen is buying beverages for a party that come in packs of 8. Let P be the number of packages Zen buys and T be the total number of beverages. The equation, they give us the equation, T equals 8P, can be used to calculate the total number of beverages when the number of packages is known. Determine the independent and dependent variables in this scenario. Then make a table using whole number values of P less than 6. Okay, let's take a look. They give us the table, they kind of set it up for us. Packages is P, and the total number of beverages is T. They put the equation in here also because they know that T is 8P. So they're going to take 8 times P to get their total number of beverages. If you buy 0 packages of beverages, you're going to end up with 0 beverages. I think we knew that one. If you buy 1 package of beverages, there's 8 in a package, you're going to have 8 beverages. 2 packages, 16 beverages. 3 packages, 24. I'm getting this because I'm taking 3 times 8. I'm plugging in for P. So 4 times 8 is 32. 5 times 8 is 40. All right, let's see. I need to determine the variables. I forgot to do that. I made a table, and the variables, now in a problem like this and on your homework and your classwork, I'm going to have you just label up here independent or dependent, and we can abbreviate. We'll do that now. The number of beverages you have depends on how many packages you buy. If I say how many beverages do you have? Well, I don't know. Depends on how many packages you bought. Oh, so this depends on this. So this one is dependent, and on your classwork, in your homework, if you want to write dependent above it and independent above this one, you can do that. You just abbreviate like so. If you want to write down here independent, dependent, and write them out, you can do that too, like you did on your last homework. Okay, using this information that we have here, oops, we're going to do example number 2. If I could get it up there. There we go. Okay. Make a graph for the table in the opening exercise. So here's our opening exercise, We need to make a table. Now, the title can come last. First, we need to know what's the x-axis and what's the y-axis. X is this axis on the bottom. Y is the one that stands up. And I think about that because X kind of spreads out. If I make an X with my body, I kind of get down really low and across. If I make a Y, I kind of stand up a little bit, so I'm up this way. So I always think of that when I'm thinking about which one is which. So this one I know is Y because it stands up. And if this is X, it kind of is down, scrunched down a little bit at the bottom. Okay, the independent variable always goes on this one. So I'm going to make note of that. Independent variable always goes on the bottom, and the dependent variable always goes on the Y. I'm not going to write that on my normal ones, but I'm writing that as a note for myself so I don't forget. I might put that on my ISN so that I don't forget that's where they go. I don't need to label it this way when I make them, but I need to understand them. Okay, so the dependent variable in our example was the total number of beverages. So I'm going to turn my paper. I don't want to write this way. Total. Nobody writes like that. I'm going to turn my page so that this is kind of the bottom of my paper. So this is the total number of beverages. Okay, and I left some room here so I can put my numbers. And on the bottom here, I turned it back so I can read it again. The bottom is my independent variable, which was the number of packages. Again, leaving room for my numbers up there at the top. All right, my number of packages starts at 0. I want to make sure that whatever I use the same interval. I don't want to go 2, 7, 18, 42. I want to go in order. Okay, so this package starts at 0 and it goes to 5, so I have to go at least to 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like I can go to 6, and that's okay. Give it a little cushion on the end. Remember, you're numbering the lines, not the spaces inside. Okay? Along this one, now I can number so that I don't have to turn it. I need to get at least to 40. Let's see, if I did it by 8s, let's see. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. That will work and give me one little cushion. So let's go by 8s. It won't always be by what you have on your table. Sometimes it will be by 2s, then you have to mark a little bit in the middle, but you got to plan it out before you start. 40 and 48. And see, if that dependent wasn't there, it wouldn't clash with these things here. Okay, now we need to mark things, plot things. Okay, one way to make sure that you have it set up correctly with your dependent and dependent is to give yourself a sentence. Your sentence is going to go left to right. So my sentence is going to say this: the total number of beverages depends on the number of packages. If that's true, if that makes sense, then you set it up correctly. If I flip-flopped it, if this was total number of packages, I would read the total number of packages depends on how many beverages you have. That doesn't make any sense. So as long as this is correct, when you read it, this depends on this, then you are set up correctly. Okay, so let's see. Our first one is 0 packages and 0 beverages. So if I go over in 0 packages, up to 0 beverages, my first point is there. The next one is 1 package, 8 beverages. I don't know if you saw that in the video, I'm sorry. The next one was 2 packages, 16 beverages. 3 packages was 24. I'm going to let you reference yours so I don't have to keep bringing it back. 4 was 32. 5 was 40. Now I don't have 6 on here, so I don't have to do 6. I could. I can see the pattern. I could, but I don't need to because it's not on my table. Now I need a title. Title is important. My title goes up here, and I have a bunch of scribble up here from showing you information. But I think this is the beverages that we're going to have for the party, right? It's for a party. Yep, buying beverages for a party. Okay, so I'm going to just title it Beverages for the Party. That's my title. Okay, now that we know how to make a graph, let's make sure we can read a graph. Just a quick little review here. It says use the graph to determine which variable is independent and which is dependent. Then state the relationship between the quantities represented by the variables, and we'll just kind of talk about that. Now remember, this one is dependent on this one, so this would be dependent, right? Let's see. The number of miles we can travel in our road trip depends on how many hours we're driving. The hours depend on the miles. No, I think the hours are going to go by no matter what. So I think this is set up correctly. So this is dependent. This is independent. Dependent. Independent. And let's take a look at the graph. State the relationship between the quantities. Okay, so we go 1 hour, we travel 50 miles. 2 hours, 100, that's another 50. 3 miles, 150. 4 is 200, 5 is 250. So for every hour we travel, we go 50 miles. So for every hour we travel, we go 50 miles. This is telling us and teaching us and reminding us how to read a graph. That's it for our examples today. If you have any questions, please write them in your ISN.